Welcome to my YouTube channel, Shankhanad. The budget 21-22 was presented last week only in the Parliament, and because of China's misadventure in the eastern Ladakh, what will be the defense budget was the subject of interest for all. However, there was no much of difference. Now, we are a peace-loving country and we spend on defense just for the security of nation. That is very important to understand. However, we are the fourth largest importing country of the world. So, the flight of the capital because of this import is large. However, their defense budget, is it sufficient, is always the question which is asked. Now today I want to check whether the Make in India or Atmanirbhar also can get connected to this, and will it make some difference, that is within the given defense budget we will be able to manage or not with this new step which India has taken. We as a country are the biggest democracy in the world, and even with cultural, linguistic and ethnic diversity, we are a democracy which has bloomed. We do have our own problems, but we are facing them very bravely and successfully and moving ahead. In a democracy, we have to remember that military or defense services has to play a secondary role. Unlike any communist country like China or even few countries which are run by dictators. Now, these countries have got a major military role, so their budget for defense is easier to be passed. However, I always feel, even as a military man, that India is doing an admirable job of giving a budget or sanctioning a budget to defense which is satisfactory. Today, we are discussing this because the budget announced has given defense below 2% of GDP. The share is below 2%. Even when the threat of China is looming large in the eastern Ladakh, as I said earlier. There is always the discussion that money allotted to defense, is it enough? Is it actually less? Can it be enhanced? Where will the money come from? There are many such questions which need to be answered. For this, we need to first know, where does the money come from? Many of us will be well aware of this aspect, but it's worth revising once for the sake of all. Gross domestic product, that is GDP, is nothing but the market value of final goods, services produced within the country within a given time frame. In short, what we can say is what we get from everybody, that is all the taxpayers, salaried, businessmen, farmers, all of them contribute to GDP. So, in all, we can always say that GDP is this money combined together. Now, GDP of our country is around 2.65 trillion US dollars. Now, is this GDP is all the money we get from them, or we have to get the money from somewhere else also? So I can say that all this money which we get from the taxes is not enough to run the country, and so the country borrows money, the government borrows the money. Let's see what's the percentage of what we borrow. Now, our GDP is 35 trillion. To be exact, it is 34,83,236 crores to be. Out of this, 19 trillion approximately is earned through taxes, as I have explained earlier, and 15.5 trillion is borrowed. So, then what is the difference between the GDP and the budgeted one? The budgeted is mostly the expenditure which are going to incur in that year, and that includes the interest on the borrowed money also. So, it has got many heads, but the interest on borrowed money I mentioned first because it is the much more than all other heads. The interest on borrowed money is almost 23%. On education we spend around 1.3%, health 2.4%, rural development 4.3%, subsidies in food, farming, etc., 6.6%. And now the defense budget, percentage of the budget for defense is 15.5%. We just said that it is just below 2% of GDP. Then where has this 15.5 come from? I am talking about 15.5% of the budget. So, if we look at the budgeted thing, now we will come to know that the maximum is interest borrowed money, that is 23%, and the very next head is defense, that is 15.5. So, we can conclude or say that this money is sufficient which has been given to defense forces, and this is what we can afford to give it to defense forces. Why so? Because if we have to give more, it has to be cut from somewhere, and that somewhere will be education, health, rural development, subsidies for food, etc. So, can we afford to do that? No, definitely not. So, the balancing act which government after government are doing appears to be okay. And let me tell you that this 15.5% of budgeted is not for all these years. Earlier it was lesser, but 15.5 is the max up till now, and that is for 2021, including the revised figure. And that revised figure for defense was because of China's aggression in eastern Ladakh. So, GDP grows, then this 2% also is going to grow. So, that is why as we develop, do better, the gross domestic product is going to increase and the share of defense is also going to increase. 2021 revised estimate, as I told you, brought the figure of defense percentage to 15.5, and this year, that is 21-22, it is going to be 13% of the budget. Not bad, I suppose. But the equipment required now needs to be seen from where we get this equipment. So, first and foremost is the importance of looking at the defense budget. Then only we will realize how it can be used in a better manner. So, the percentage of budget which is given to defense is allocated. Army gets 56% of share, Air Force gets 23%, and the Navy gets 15%. Now, out of this, what they get, there are two types of spendings which they require. First is capital spending, and second is in revenue spending. Now, the capital spending percentage, if we see what is allotted, it is exactly opposite of that. Army spends just 18% of their budget for capital procurements. Navy 54%, and Air Force, the bulk and the chunk is 59%. So we can say that around 1,07,233 crores is used up for capital revenue. So from this it is very, very clear that we are spending too much on revenue, especially army, and there is a reason for that. Army is basically a manpower centric service, and not only in India, it is world over. However, world over you will see a trend in which now the manpower has been reduced. New technology has been used and manpower has been brought down. So maybe we have to do that. And right now if you look around, you can see that already our army is doing so. Now this revenue is not only for salary, it is also for pension. So pension cost plus salary cost is what the revenue required, and there are a few other heads, small little, which cater for another 18 to 20%. So revenue budget control is a human resource challenge, and it is very important to look at it in this angle. Now the capital spending, as I have told you, is around 1,07,233 crores, in which the chunk is major chunk is with Air Force, that is 59%. So let's see in how the revenue is distributed. As I said, 37% is for salaries, 28% is for pensions, only 23% is spent on capital expenditure. So this capital expenditure needs to go up and the revenue needs to come down. Now how it is possible? We have to see. Secondly, revenue, I have already said that cutting of manpower and other activities are being done to bring down the revenue. But to make capital up, we will have to procure more, and I said we are the fourth largest importing country in the world importing the arms and ammunitions. So I will like to connect this subject with something which is now the talk of town, that is Make in India or Atmanirbhar. Now, capital procurements, if we become Atmanirbhar for all the defense procurements, then this money, the capital expenditure, will remain within the country. From government it will go to PSUs and it will remain in the within the country, and out of which I have already said Air Force spends almost 59%, and Air Force spending is quite a bit on aircraft, radars, means technically oriented equipment. So let's take an example of Tejas aircraft, which has been talked about quite a lot. From this we will realize that if we keep our country produces the defense equipment, how we will be beneficial and not allow the capital expenditure going out in imports, and it will remain within the country. Now 48,000 crores have been allotted. A contract has already been signed for Tejas, around 83 Tejas, and this contract has been given to HAL. As I said, almost 48,000 crores is the amount which Air Force spends in capital per year. However, this Tejas contract will be spread over 2 to 3 years, but that amount of money will remain within our country, that is from government it will go to HAL. Now just think of all three services equipment being produced locally, that is 1,02,458 crores per year approximately will remain with us, and as we move ahead this amount will keep going up. So instead of we spending this money in importing arms and ammunitions, that will remain within the country, and it will definitely help this capital expenditure which the government will sanction, will remain with us. However, this was not possible and not being possible earlier because of the delays which the local companies were, the PSUs rather, were creating. Then the quality control was another major problem, and rate of production was also badly hampered. Once again, we'll take the example of Tejas itself. When Tejas contract was signed in 1983, it was for only 560 crores or so. Now, when Tejas 83 only, not the full bulk, are being supplied to Indian Air Force, the budget is 48,000 crores. See the quantum jump. So delay does pinch us, and that is the main reason why we were not procuring within us, and quality control also. However, now Tejas contract has shown that it is possible for India to look after the needs of defense services within the country. And why not? The space and missile technology in our country is one of the best. So is the aircraft industry, which is showing now greater prospects. So we should encourage this more. So this, after Tejas project, government has very clearly given indications to PSUs that we will give you money, but you perform or perish. No other alternative is left, and that is why I say that it is possible that this capital flight for procurement of defense equipment will stop very soon. So, based on all this background, now if you think of the budget, defense budget, which is just about below 2% of GDP, we will feel that it is a good amount, and a democratic country like us can afford only this much. A very important point which we need to understand here is that we are not the expansionist nation. We are a peace-loving nation, and we require defense services for our security of our nation. Yes, we do have problematic neighbors like China and Pakistan, so we will have to be ready for any eventuality. However, it is very, very difficult to know how much is required, the equipment part or the budgetary part, for defense services, for securing the country only, or for waging wars for expansion. That's why I feel 2% of GDP, or as I explained, 15.5% of the budget, entire budget, defense budget, this much is enough. So what we have to do major is bring down the revenue and try and make the capital expenditure much more. For this, as spoken earlier, we need to cut down the manpower, which is a very important aspect, and other things which will bring down the revenue. And capital expenditure should remain within the country. That itself will be a big advantage. So let's hope that Atmanirbhar will ensure that the capital expenditure of the defense forces from the allotted budget remains within the country, and reduction in manpower brings down the revenue. How we are able to achieve this needs to be seen, but if you compare before 2016 and now, there is definitely a positive improvement in this aspect. So, whenever the next budget is announced, if you find the defense budget is around 2% of GDP or around 15 to 20% of the budgeted amount, the percentage of it, then one should feel satisfied that for the security of the nation, this much amount of money will be sufficient and security of a nation will not be jeopardized. If you like my video on this, please subscribe my channel, give your likes and comments if any. Thank you and Jai Hind.